Hello my friends, you're listening to Ebird Online and I'm back with another review. And here's the second part to my review from last week's tell-all. And guys, it's just begun to get interesting. And today, finally, I come to a conclusion about what I think happened with Hookergate. But before we get to Mike and Natalie, we're going to speak with Julia and Brandon. Very quickly, please don't forget to like, subscribe and all of that good stuff. And also smash the notification bell if you don't want to miss any of my videos. So without further ado, I give you my second review of the tell-all part 1. This is 90 Day Fiance, Happily Ever After, Season 6. So Sean asked Julia and Brandon, how is it moving out? Julia said, oh my god, it's amazing. And Brandon at exactly the same time said, it's exactly the same, except my mum and dad don't walk past me in the hallway. Very interesting. So guys, it sounds as if Brandon regrets moving. And then Sean asks him, well, what about your sex life? One of the major problems before was having your own space for intimacy. And Brandon said, yeah, it has got much better. We've done it in every single part of the apartment. But then he said, I'm not one for the city. I prefer the farm. And Julia said, no, I much prefer the city. I only like to go for the farm for my dog, Simba. I love him. Oh my God, I love him so much. He's the most beautiful little thing I've ever known. I'm literally so in love with him. None of you would ever understand just how much I love the dog. Really, Julia? Why is the dog not living with you? Because the dog asks to get up at 2 or 3 in the morning to go for a wee, and she can't be bothered. That sounds like love to me, Julia. Sounds like love to me. And guys, I know I overthink everything, but I can't help but think whenever Julia is around Yara, for some reason, she's always trying to compete. And I honestly believe that she's really going on about this dog and how much she loves the dog in some kind of, I don't know, low-key competition with Yara and the baby. I don't know why I think that. Let me know in comments down below if any of you thought this was a little weird. I've never heard about this dog previously. And true tea, if I had a dog with whom I was in love, I would never let it within a country mile of bloody Betty and her awful dog cages. I don't know, something just seems real fishy with this story. And even Sean thought it was a bit fishy. She said, you don't even talk about Brandon like that. Who do you love more? Oh dear Sean, childish questions are us. And Julia said, I don't know, it's like a burger or a pizza. I can't say which I love more. And quick as a flash, Mike pipes up, there's a new pizza burger. You can have the best of both worlds. Natalie, Mike eats there every night. And the Ebird says, there's also a new dog husband. Isn't there, Jovi? Sorry, Jovi. But you know it's true. And then they talked a bit about Julia wanting babies. And Brandon said she just brought it up randomly to my friends and she hadn't even talked to me about it. And I also remember that Julia brought it up to his parents as well. I think she just flirts with the idea. I think she's got far too many ideas of nice houses and nice cars and living in Las Vegas to want babies just yet. I just think it's Julia being Julia, i.e. a bit of a weirdo. I really don't take that part of the storyline seriously. And then Sean said, do you have any other problems? And Brandon said, yes, Julia has a really jealous side, especially with girls. And if she pushes my close girlfriends away, that might spell problems for our relationship. And whilst he was saying this, Julia was shaking her head saying, I won't change. I'm just a very jealous person, that's all. But I've gotten better. My ex-boyfriend would have said, oh my god, she's crazy. Julia, your partner now thinks you're crazy too. He's ignoring it at the moment because he's busy filling his boots. Why? Because he's unused to regular sex. But if that perk ever wears thin, I worry for your relationship. And she said, every single guy I've been out with has cheated on me. And Andrei said, it's confidence. You have to be more confident. And Brandon said, I can imagine everyone cheating on you because of your jealousy. What? Guys, do you cheat on someone because they're jealous? Or do you just finish with someone because they're jealous? I think that's very strange. But Julia was absolutely apoplectic with rage at what Brandon had just said. And she said, it's not my fault. And I guess truthfully, we'll never know because all of these relationships were in the past, but I would say one thing. If your girlfriend's a go-go dancer and works every night in the middle of the night, I don't know how seriously a partner would take that relationship. Ladies, if you were going out with a dream boy or a Magic Mike dancer, would you take them seriously? I know I wouldn't. And then Sean introduces none other than Betty and Ron. So Brandon's parents waste no time in saying that they want Brandon and Julia to move back to the farm, back to the fold as it were. But I think they've had a little thought and they know good and well they wouldn't move back in with them. So they've got an offer. There's a property right next door and they've offered to pay the down payment to buy the house if Brandon and Julia want it. What a lovely sentiment. Guys, what was I saying before? They said they had loads of properties, and I spent my nights wondering why they didn't want to help their offspring. Oh, but it seems there's a caveat. They're only offering the down payment if they buy the house next door to them, no other house. And Betty says quite emphatically, this is the offer and it's for this house alone. Guys, like I said before, they could have helped and they chose not to because they couldn't manipulate Julia. Unless they're in control, they don't want to help. And Brandon said, that sounds fantastic. Julia said, absolutely not. No way, I don't want this house. If we let his parents buy this house, it will never be our own. And Brandon says, why not? There's quite a good amount of land between us and them. Oh, Brandon, you know good and well that every morning when Julia opens her windows, she'll find Betty's hot little nose pressed against her window. There's absolutely no way that any of this would work. Also, Brandon's forgetting the fact that Julia likes city life. She wants to live in Las Vegas. And so Richmond, where they're currently living, I guess is some sort of compromise. And Brandon, you are only a 30-minute drive to your parents' house. It's not very far. And guys, I've been reading a few posts on social media about this. And they say Julia knew that Brandon was a farm boy, so she needs to get with his lifestyle. I remember Julia saying, and Brandon agreeing, that when he was wooing her and saying to her, yeah, come and live in America, he promised that he would move to the city with her when they arrived. He managed to put it off for a year, but don't make promises you then want to rescind on within a few months. I think, Brandon, if you want to help out at the farm, you can still drive there after work. That's up to you, but a promise is a promise. But then Sean tells us of some bad news, and apparently Ron's suffering with health problems. And it sounds like he has something quite serious. He's currently undergoing treatment, but you can tell he doesn't really want to talk about it. And as they're sort of discussing the subject, Brandon starts crying and his eyes start watering. But Julia, well, she's still as hard as hell, and she said, that's life, these things happen. Julia, that's not the thing to say in this scenario, it really isn't. And Betty said, we really do need some help on the farm. It would be great if these kids came to live with us. We're not going to be able to do it forever. Then Betty, perhaps you should sell the farm. Or perhaps one of Ron's other 4 kids wants to work the farm themselves. But this illness of Ron's does seem pretty serious, so we're all sending out good vibes to Ron. Without Betty and Ron, Brandon and Julia would be intolerable. Betty and Ron do bring all the drama. But right at the end of the segment, Julia finished off by saying, I hate the farm, I don't ever want to go back, and I want to live in the city. And guys, for the first time, I've got a feeling this isn't all going to end well between these two. It seems to me that Brandon's tiring of Julia. But next is a segment that everyone's been waiting for. It's Mike, Natalie, and Mike's mum, Trish. And I had hoped that with the advent of being in a TV studio in New York, Trish would have changed up her rather concerning haircut. But no, she's still channeling Dog the Bounty Hunter. And Sean introduces Trish to the stage. And Trish tells us, I'm glad Mike's filing for divorce, I'm encouraging it. And guys, I've got a feeling they blindsided Natalie with Trish turning up. Natalie kind of raised her eyes to the ceiling and then looked at the floor. You could tell she did not want to have this meeting. And she said Natalie never ever loved Mike. She used him just to get to the US. She says she doesn't like his ranch and she doesn't like it in the countryside. Well, why come here when you knew he lived in the middle of the country? And then she looked at the whole of the cast and said, guys, she's lying to you all. We know, Trish, we know. But enough with all this trifling crap. We know she used Mike for a green card. Yada yada yada. What do I want to hear about? Hookergate! Yay! My raison d'etre. My reason for being. And so TLC treats us to the aftermath of the so-called hooker comment. And that's when Natalie's sitting in the car like a sulky little super brat and refusing to talk to Mike and Trish. And Sean said, Natalie, do you still say that Trish called you a hooker? And guys, honestly, I hope you caught this properly. Sean looked at Natalie as if she was a freaking liar. Sean doesn't believe it for a second. And Natalie said, I heard it. So not yes then. And then she said, honestly, I swear I heard it. Guys, why doesn't she just say, yes, she called me a hooker? She's looking at Sean. I would think she would be looking at Trish saying, Trish, now you know you said it. Come on now. If you didn't say that, what did you say? You heard it. Just isn't a yes. But Trish looked directly at Natalie and she said, I did not call you a hooker. And Sean said, you didn't? And she said, no, I did not. It's just another one of her lies. She never loved Mike. She just wanted to get to America. And she said her and Mike always had disagreements. They had loads of arguments even before she came. And Mike said, well, I think there was love to start off with. Yes, Mike, love of the green card. Love of the green. And Mike said, we didn't argue, we got on quite well. And Trish said, what about the night that you proposed to her? You had a massive argument. And then Natalie jumped in. She said, yes, I found naked boobs on his phone 2 hours after he proposed. But quick as a flash, Trish said, why were you snooping? And to me, this is what helps to let Trish down. She rides just a little bit too hard for Mike. At this point, I would have either kept quiet or I would have said, yeah, that had to be kind of hard to see. Mike, that wasn't great from you. But then there was a flash of brilliance from Natalie. And you young girls probably know all of these tricks, but this was a new one on me and it was a very, very good idea. Natalie, when she took Mike's phone, went straight into deleted items. Of course, all the things he doesn't want prying eyes to see. Where does it reside? Of course, in deleted items. Mike's too stupid to actually delete forever. Mike thinks when he presses delete, everything's gone and can't ever be seen again. He's kind of like a 2-year-old, covering his eyes with his hands and saying, you can't see me. And so it turns out these photos were from an ex-girlfriend. And Mike, for one who plays so innocent, you've done an awful lot wrong. And the rest of the cast ask questions about this ex-girlfriend. Julia and Yara are suitably horrified. But really, Natalie, you accepted his proposal. You didn't go back on it then. And then you came to America and got married to him. How long can you continue to bring it up for? And Trish said, you never loved my son. You just wanted to get into this country. And Natalie said, I loved him so much, it's not true. You're damn right it's not true, Natalie. You're nothing but an effing liar. And then everyone tells Natalie to go back to the Ukraine. And the clear implication is that she was in the whole thing for the green card. And Julia makes the point, why didn't you go for a K5 visa or a K3 visa? The Ebird can tell you, a K3 visa is non-permanent, Julia. She'd have to apply for another visa afterwards. Also, she wasn't married at the time, so Mike would have needed to leave, marry her in Ukraine, and then come back to America and then wait. And the massive problem with that is, he would have already been married to her without having the benefit of that 90 days to see what she was all about. In the end, I suppose, Mike's such a dimwit that didn't make any difference anyway. But for most normal people, it would have done. And she didn't fight for a K5 visa because quite simply, it doesn't exist. Julia would be dangerous if she had 2 brain cells to rub together. But I agree with the overall sentiment. She shouldn't have got somebody else's feelings all wrapped up into a shady ass plan. But finally, at the end of this segment, it looked like things were finally sinking in with Mike, that it's over with Natalie. He's realised it just a short 2 years after we all did. And as they stood up to leave, Natalie raced over to Trish and she said, Trish, I don't hate you. Now guys, if Trish had really called her a hooker, why would you say I don't hate you? But Trish just looked at her and said, you're a scam, you used Michael and you lie. You even lied on Beau, you said that he stole your jewellery. And Natalie said, well, they disappeared. I think Beau stole them. And Trish said, that's a lie. Just like me calling you a hooker. And she said, okay, but I swear to you that he did steal my jewellery. And it very much sounded to me like, but this bit is true. This thing that I'm telling you now actually is the truth, Trish. And Angela said, I'm sick and tired of you being the victim, Natalie. You don't want Mark and he don't want you. Excuse me, Angela, you're sick and tired of Natalie being the victim. You are the perennial victim. Pot, kettle and black, in no particular order. And Natalie tells her mum in the break, Privyet, I didn't want to tell you this, but Mike and I are done. I am living with a gay international man of mystery in Florida. I didn't want to live with him, but we were just seated together. And her mum said, oh, never mind, baby. And Natalie laid it on thick with tears and everything. It was a full performance. And that was that for these two. Hopefully, we'll not see them again. Although I have heard a rumour that Natalie's going to be dating, and she's going to be on the next season of The Single Life. Hopefully they hook her up with Big Ed, where she'll no doubt get a taste of her own medicine. And finally, for this first part of the tell-all, we have Michael and Angela. And guys, although Angela thinks she looks absolutely amazing, I beg to differ. She has a concertina face, like someone has squashed it like a Capri Sun. And for some bizarre reason, she seems to think that back fat is appealing. Angela wasted no time in reinstating herself as head victim of this tell-all. And she told everybody, Michael didn't support me. He didn't want me to have any of my weight loss surgery. And then Sean, international journalist, An extremely educated woman, so I'm told, asked Michael, what do people in Nigeria do when they want to lose weight? Oh Sean, surgery isn't the only way to get rid of fat, I'm sure you've heard. Back in the olden days, people just ate less and moved about a bit more. But I'm not going to say too much on that, because I'm the kind of girl to take a shortcut too. But Michael let her know, in Nigeria, it's a good thing when people are fat, that's a positive thing. And then Asuelu backed him up and said, it's the same from my island, people like fat people. It's considered healthy. Maybe it is. Maybe in Samoa, they die from drinking gone-off milk before they die of coronary heart disease caused by a build-up of fatty deposits. Who knows? Very possibly. And then victim Angela moans on and on saying she never knows where Michael is. Sometimes he goes missing. He's not missing, Angela. It's just that you live in Georgia and he lives in Lagos. What you mean when you say he goes missing is that he's not available to you 24 hours a day on his phone. And Michael said the only time he goes missing is when he's in church. Oh, Michael, who knows what he gets up to. But I've got to say I've been to Nigeria many times myself, and the mobile phone service isn't great. It really isn't. And they talk a bit more about her weight loss surgery, and then Tiffany tells us that she too is going to have the same surgery as Angela. And surprise, surprise, Ronald's against it. And he just thinks Tiffany should put in the work that's necessary to lose weight. Ronald, work? I'm surprised you dare utter the word. Do you know what work actually means? I really can't take Ronald seriously, guys. And then Angela continues her narrative of bullshit, because Sean quite pointedly asks her, have you ever hung around with Dr. Abeng? That's the dodgy doctor. You know, the one that chopped her tits off without her permission. And Angela said that she'd been to his party and he'd given her a lift home. Guys, I don't believe this for a second, because I've stalked Dr. Abeng a little bit on the internet and I find he lives quite a celebrity lifestyle, along with his very pretty wife. I don't believe for a second that he didn't have a driver to take him to the party. And Angela tells Michael, well, if you're not interested, maybe I'll just go off with Dr. Abeng. Angela, this whole thing is both embarrassing and demeaning. Do you honestly think that Dr. Abeng would ever give you a second look? You may have pulled one African, but I think that's where it all ends. If you're ever to do such a thing again, you'll need to do the same, i.e. pay for the person. You're paying for Michael, don't forget that. But everybody entertains this ridiculous story, as if West African men are just hanging around, hoping that Angela falls out with Michael so they can have a piece for themselves. And then Mike's auntie pops up and she goes on and on about how she doesn't like Angela getting surgery and how she's already beautiful for Michael and how she should be concentrating on having a child. And Angela said, well, if he accepts me as I am and I'm beautiful and everything, why doesn't he accept the fact that I can't have children? I'll tell you why, Angela, because you promised him hand on heart that you would find a donor egg and you would carry a baby for Michael. And you've now quite selfishly reneged on that deal. And Angela then tells the auntie that she's in her business too much and that she should F off. Absolutely lovely. Her language is just like her back fat, foul and disgusting. Angela, a word to the wise. If you don't want a family that's all up in your business, do not marry a Nigerian. And that's pretty much all I've got to say about Angela right now. I hope that I'll never ever see her again, but I fear I will. And finally, that's everything for this part of the tell-all. I still haven't watched the second part, so I'm going to go away right now and watch the second half of the tell-all and bring you my thoughts as soon as I have them. And so guys, in comments, I want you to weigh in on the following. It's clear that TLC once again have let us down and they don't have any hot mics or secret audio of Trish calling Natalie a hooker, so we've got to decipher for ourselves. I think overall, all evidence leads to the fact that Trish in fact didn't say it. Natalie isn't channeling enough conviction for me. When faced with Trish, she never really takes it to her and looks at her and says, yes, you did say it. I was here and you were there and this is when you said it. And even when she was talking about Bo stealing her jewellery, she said, okay, but this did happen. As opposed to what? The hooker comment that didn't happen. That's what I think. So guys, let me know in comments below what you think. And then the second thing I want you to weigh in on is this whole fake narrative that somehow if Angela wants, she can get with Dr. Abeng. Sean's going along with it, Angela's going along with it, Michael's going along with it. Ebird is not going along with it, she finds it laughable. I'm surprised when you strip bare in front of him, he could keep his dinner down. And that's everything for this review. Guys, thank you so much for listening. Like, subscribe and all of that good stuff. Don't forget to hit the notification bell if you don't want to miss any videos, and I'll be back soon with another video. You've been listening to Ebird Online, and I bid you good day.